We are finally officially started up and we're ready to roll. Markets are looking ugly, but don't worry, we're looking fresh. We got a haircut last weekend, and I am ready for a new week, new opportunities, new plays is always what I like to say. If you are new and you're with us on YouTube Live or you're with us on social media, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Sniper Mike. I've been trading now for 8 years, but today we're going to hang out for 1 hour and we're going to see if we can make some money from one day to the next. So within this hour, we're going to look for the potential opportunity to make some money on from today to tomorrow. So some quick money, and that's something I usually love to do. If you have any questions, if you want to say anything, don't feel shy to write whatever you want in the chat, especially if you have any tips that you want me to look. Let me know. What up, Johnny? What up, John? What up, Henry? Henry, nice to see you back in the chat, my brother. Let's get it. So markets have been very slow. And then we ran into FOMC week, which is this week. So it's been another slower month in the summertime. So two straight slower months here, both June and July. Both June and July, we've also been dealing with a war. That doesn't help at all. But there has been some huge opportunities, and that's really came from a lot of these morning momentum plays. So if you haven't been watching the morning momentum stream plays, these have really been the big runners. You can see today WLDS showed a little bit of opportunity from 320 to 5, which is a pretty big spike. Last week we had that huge runner in ADVB that was able to run from $6 all the way to 24. So there's the opportunity. That's really where we're trying to put our focus here now instead of what I'm typically used to with those overnight swings. The overnight swings are always good. We made some money from yesterday to today, or from Friday to today on an overnight, oh no, yesterday to today on an overnight swing. But in these uglier markets, it seems like these morning momentum plays have been the easier money. And obviously, we want to be where the easy money is. Right? Check, check, check. Hold on, hold on. I think the YouTube live can't hear me. Can you guys hear me now? What about now? Hold on, let me get my right microphone on. Oh, hold on. Check, check. Can you guys hear me now on social media? Mr. Blackavelli. Let's check if they can hear us now. Check, check. Darn it. Hold on. I've been editing around with my microphone, and it might have just. Okay, okay. We're just gonna unplug it for just this session, just because I got to see. Hold on. Thank you for working with me here on social media. I'm gonna go back to plugging that in after, but it seems like the social media we're getting a little bit of static there. What about now? I just unplugged it. We should be back to normal. There we go. Thank you. So thanks for that. Welcome, welcome. Sorry about that quick delay. I was actually talking about the opportunity and what I like to do potentially as a trader. My name is Sniper Mike. Typically like to buy stocks one day and sell it the next, but those have been very, very stagnant the past month or so since the summer has offered pretty ugly opportunity. If we open up the overall market, the QQQ and SPY, we're getting multiple dips, multiple day dips now. A couple months of just stagnant for the SPY, but the QQQ is making new month lows. And with the battle in the summer has definitely caused the battle for a lot of the opportunities overnight. But then we've had some pretty nice plays that have played out with my morning momentum strategy. So this is WLDS I talked about from 3 to 5, and then ADVB was the next one from yesterday or last week from 6 to 24. There's usually other ones that we'll be looking for, but it's definitely been a little bit drier. Today, what I'm going to try to do is try to find stocks that we could potentially play for overnight. And there are a couple. I actually do have 5 that we're going to put on the overnight watch list. Typically, on a slower day, I don't like to put 5, but there are 5 that are still holding certain levels, and they are decent, interesting plays for potential gap up. So that's typically what I'm looking to do. I go live every single day with the community in the simpler trading website under Stock Snipers. So that's where you can always find me. But let's see what we got here to close out the day. Let's look at the 5. Johnny, let me check that out, what you're talking about. What is that, Volkswagen? Volkswagen is an OTC. That's an interesting one, Johnny. It's only up 3% today. But an interesting one. We can throw that one on the overnight watch list. Thank you for that. IBM was another interesting one. I don't love how it's came from 215 to 228, but that's a pretty decent range of a day for us to keep our eyes out there. Yeah, Volkswagen, VWAGY. Okay. All right, but let's look into what I'm looking for tonight. So there are 5 stocks that I think have potential for possible overnight plays. Why I pick 5 is because you guys are your own boss. Everybody is your own boss as a trader. That's why it's my favorite profession. That's why I've been doing it now for 11 years, but full time, and not thinking about anything else for about 8 to 9 years. I really passionately love it. I know I'm probably crazy to say that, but usually the people that do love it, they just love numbers, and they can sit in front of a screen with numbers all day. Not everyone can do that. So what I'm looking to do when it comes to these numbers, though, is I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. I'm trying to buy something at one price and hopefully sell it higher. And if you look at OPK, this is called a 52-week breakout. It is a huge day, which I don't love. You're running from 125 up to 170, but it just had earnings. So that's usually what's a good sign of it. It also just had a huge volume, and the breakout is 161, which is almost holding all day if you zoom out to it. So what I like to see is I'll start with the yearly chart and I'll say, all right, this is a potential breakout, but 161 is the breakout. So that's what you want to see it hold. Since today, it's literally held that 161. So it's had a really nice move after breaking 161. It's held it. It's coming down now. We'll see if it can come back to this 164 area. But I kind of like this one maybe for potential. We'll see if it can hold into the close. You want to use 160 as cut. So if it does fall below that, I would say 158 as the last cut. I don't think I would want to hold it if it falls all the way back to 148. So let's see if this one can hold here. The reason why it's up, it has earnings. Oh my God. It's a healthcare stock. What's the earnings on it? It looks like it's just got earnings, so not really news, just the earnings news. But that's always something that's a bright thing to get it going, and the volume definitely helps. If you go back to its past history, you can see there are follow-up days after big green days, so that's usually what you want to see. Are there days that follow up? There are some days it doesn't. So we'll see how we treat this one. But definitely, breakout potential at that 161 spot. OPK. The next one that I think is pretty interesting is AMC. AMC is the movie theater AMC. The movies are back, baby. We are going back to the movies. It was a nice move from yesterday to today. I think we put it on the overnight watch list from yesterday to today. Did we? AMC wasn't on there, but DraftKings was the one we made money off of. And DraftKings is making new highs right now as we talk about it. It wasn't a big run, but it still was a follow-up in an ugly, 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 ugly market. So we'll see how that looks with AMC. We call this play a multi-month breakout, just like the other one that you just saw in OPK. Same kind of situation. With AMC, we have the Spider-Man movie that's breaking records that's coming out. We have the IMAX, obviously, with the Odyssey that broke records. So people are coming to the movies again. And AMC had an offering about a month ago, and it's already recovered from it. Beautiful to see there. The next one I'm watching is a higher priced one, IBM. IBM has come down to its gap down price. The gap down price means if you zoom out to the 1 year chart, you'll see that this stock IBM was once at $300 not too long ago, and it gapped down from 290 all the way back to 220 overnight. That's typically not what you love as a trader, especially a long-term trader, but as a day trader, that looks like opportunity everywhere. So what I like to do is try to hawk down some opportunity for a situation like that, and we try to see if then maybe it can fill its gap down. So that's typically what I'm looking for in a play like this. But IBM, as you can see, nice little mover there. Nice potential. And we'll see if that can follow up. And then the other ones I was thinking about, so Volkswagen's actually a really good one, so I think I want to put that one on there. Very slow mover, but one that also came out with earnings. It's an OTC because they are in Germany, but they have potential of gap ups. There's some gap ups in this stock. There's actually sometimes it doesn't, so you got to be a little careful. But both Volkswagen for one play in this car sector, and then we have Lucid for the other one, LCID. And Lucid's creating a first green day. It's holding the 750 spot or 755. And it's a multi-month breakout. It has follow-up days. I don't know. I'm not in love with Lucid, to tell you the truth. But it did make that move. I mean, 780 is the breakout. And it got pretty strong here midday. So keeping our eyes on that one. So I think that's the 5 that we're going to do. I have these other ones over here. Annie, ANY, is a Bitcoin stock that's also creating a first green day. We have JetBlue that's having a really big green day today, making new multi-month highs. I just don't trust these, but this one actually came out with earnings, JetBlue. It's up 10% on the day. Another one that's coming up to this key level of 620. We'll see if that breaks. I'm not as in love with it with all the oil stuff moving lately. And then Target's making new 52-week highs, but multiple days there. So those are really all the ones that I've got. I don't really see myself going after anything else here. Tomorrow we have Tesla to keep an eye on at the key level of $300. Maybe that's able to make a move. That ONFO, I can see what you're looking at there. But a lot more sketchier. Tomorrow, that Livewire was one that we thought we would look at. I mean, it's taken a huge dip. It might still be an opportunity, but that's a really big dip there, all the way back down to 195 now. So pretty ugly to see. This OPK is just dipped from 10 cents pretty much. The breakout spot is that 161. So I am keeping an eye on this OPK. You would typically just look for a dip buy to that area of 161. And if it does hold that area, you'd look for a potential turnaround. That's usually what we would be looking for when it comes to that play. Let's see if it keeps coming down a little bit here on this OPK. So tomorrow is FOMC, and my defensive guard has definitely been up here. I try to describe this as going after something half-assed will just throw you down a dark, dark road in a slower time. Less is a lot more during times like these when the markets are dipping. I really do think we do have a lot of bright sides on the other side of this, but for now, we got to just fight this out and battle this out. And yesterday to today, we were green, so let's see if we can do it again. Give me just 2 minutes. I'm going to finish updating this list, and then we'll get into the possible buys. So typically I update this list every day at 3 o'clock. We're going a little later today, but there's not as much going on here. That AMFN that we were looking to possibly break out yesterday was at a penny stock. It came back down, and it actually looks like a good panic play. If anybody is interested in watching that tomorrow. But a lot more selective in times like these. All right, so just give me a couple more minutes, about one more minute to finish this. For AMC, if you're an option person, you can definitely check out options there. They do have options on the AMC chart. They're not as liquid, but they definitely have them. Lucid, nice hold of that 750 spot, trying to bounce back up to that 850 high. Looks like Lucid wants to be a holder. Still don't know if I can trust that one. IBM also getting a little dip here to close out the day. But if you do like these stocks, I usually like them after they dip into the end of the day. So if they dip and hold, that's usually my favorite part. Yeah, it's a sketchy looking sub penny there. But you do have BDPT coming down a lot. Definitely one that's doing something. Lucid and AMC are trying to curl here. The volatility in IBM this year is unbelievable. The $200 hold on the long-term support, and then the $320 the long-term support to 100 or 200, but the long-term resistance 300, and that's all happened within a month. That's just the market we're living in lately. All right, so let's get into these stocks and let's see if we could find some opportunity. I do like this 1 cent risk on OPK here. If I'm able to get filled at 162, I'll use like the 160 as cut. Lucid's already trying to bounce off that small little dip it offered, so we'll see if this one can get a quicker bounce on the way back up. But it is just dipping 10 cents from 173 back to 163. So I got a 162 limited, but I'm gonna risk like 159. If it comes down a couple more cents, I'm just not even gonna go for it. But it's got a decent little volume there. It does have a support level that started at 150, which I don't love. But from that 150, we've broken out above 160 now. So let's see if we can hold any areas. Hopefully we don't get a fallout, but it's been kind of a barcode stock. So let's dive in and let's talk about the 5 stocks, starting with this one as number 1, OPK. So always what I'm doing when I'm creating this list is number 1, I'm looking for a pattern that I like. This is called the 52-week breakout. Then I look for the risk level. The risk level I usually find in the daily chart. If you look at this daily chart, it's been holding 161, which is the breakout, but also 158. So those are 2 levels that we're holding here. And then if you zoom out, the stock does have history of small follow-up days. So let's see if we can get a follow-up gap up or some sort of potential there. But with the risk level that we have, I like it, risking a couple cents if we get filled down here. That is number 1, OPK, and it's got earnings news this morning too, which usually helps it. Huge volume too, best volume of the whole year. The next one I'm keeping my eye on is AMC. If you look at AMC, this has the news with Odyssey, the news with Spider-Man about to come out, and you got multi-month breakout of $3, $2.95. So we'll see if this is able to make a move, but pretty nice move in AMC so far from yesterday to today to start the week. It's on a decent trend with the whole markets coming down. We will keep an eye on that. And then Lucid and IBM are the next one, both listed stocks. Lucid, first green day, kind of just got a midday pop, and it just squeezed from there. This stock is known to squeeze. What was the news? Saudi Arabian bin Talal holds a 5% stake in the company. So that gave that self some momentum that somebody owns a 5% stake in the company. Okay. Got some momentum there. We'll see if it continues to hold. If you zoom out to this stock's yearly chart, it looks like the breakout is like 775 on that one. All right. The next one that we put on there. So what I'm doing with this list is I'm putting the stock, the pattern, and then the risk level is the daily support. The long-term support is usually only important if you're coming up to breakout levels like AMC or OPK. So that's why I have the long-term support and long-term resistance, but typically I'm just looking for the daily support and the daily resistance. And then Lucid, we just went over the last 2. IBM we got here. We got a decent little first green day trying to follow itself up with a gap down fill, but that is heavy resistance at that gap down fill. So we've got to be careful there. Ooh, we just got filled at 161 on OPK. I'm going to see if I can get a little more on the way down. Got a lighter position so far, but we'll see if we can get more on the way down. As it's got to hold, though, the 160 spot. So that's important there. And it's come right down to it. And then the last one that I decided to put on there was like that Volkswagen. It's a super slower stock. Nice. It got a small little bounce off that 161. We'll see if it keeps holding that, but that was a nice little start there at least to get ourselves filled at 162 of that OPK over here. But remember, 161 is the breakout. So if it falls below that, I'm a little less interested. I'm going to use 158 as cut.
but trying to get a little more in on that OPK. And I was getting it on the way down. We do have 30 minutes left in the day, but that's usually when I like to buy, the last 30 minutes. But with Volkswagen, it seems like it's not going to go anywhere. I think you're just going to play this for a potential gap up. So it does have a gap up recently, both recently this month. So there's two gap ups this month. Will it do it again is the question. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. And it had earnings 2 days ago too. So we'll see what happens there. That's one that's a potential for just a gap up that I like. All right, though. We've got 27 minutes left. That watch list is usually created right at 3 with these multiple stocks here every day. Yesterday, even though the markets did gap down, we had Celsius and DraftKings about both follow up. DraftKings was the one we made money off of. So even though we've got an ugly market and FOMC, I'm still trying to make money if it's going to line up with the opportunities that I like. And right now, OPK does that. We'll see if anything else comes out of this afternoon here. This IPM is dipping. I guess you would have to use like 224. I put 226 as the support for IBM, but let's move it back to 224 on that watch list. And then for OPK, if we don't hold 158, we're just going to bail out. But we'll see if we can do this here into the overnight. If it does hold until the overnight, which would be the next 25 minutes, this will move until 8 p.m. I will watch it after hours. There's a chance there's some movement after hours. So definitely keep your eyes on this till 8. And if it gets a push, we'll move it. We'll sell it after hours. Also, if it falls after hours, we'll sell it. But if it gets a push, I'll definitely probably get a move. Just like yesterday, QBTS kind of offered an after-hour opportunity. I mean, a power hour opportunity. This was one from our watch list yesterday, and it bounced from 1860 all the way to 1970. So it had yourself $1. And if you keep it as simple as possible, we're buying something at one price, selling it higher. So you could have made $1 on this stock. Is more what I'm just trying to show you. And usually we typically like to play things overnight, but I've in this month of the summer that's been cold, like to just take what we have when we're feeling good about it. And that one would have been nice to take what you have. So we'll see if OPK could possibly keep pushing here or at least get a curl back to highs, and we'll debate if not what we want to do. But that's the first spot we'll look for to at least get back to, is to this 173, hopefully. So if you don't like anything today, tomorrow is FOMC day, but we still have that LVWR to keep an eye on. We have Tesla for a possible green day, FFAI that we've been watching since the weekly watcher, and now I can watch possibly this AMFN for a panic dip buy to 0.11/0.10 area. That's kind of what I'm looking for in that one. We'll see what possibly happens there. The QQQ is still down 0.8% today. So even though I do like this one, it is up 30%, and the markets are a bit risky. So, don't go too crazy here today. Whatever you decide to do, I would still recommend go a little lighter. But I always say if the risk is there, I'm going to keep swinging for the fences. Well, not for the fences, but I'm going to swing. So that's how the strategy works. So we're back to our 162 in OPK. This weekend I actually was my brother came in town and we went to the Blue Man Group. And the Blue Man Group stole my girl. They actually called my girl to come on stage. She had like a 3-minute performance. It's pretty funny. But those are fun things to do while markets are a little slower. You still want to show, you want to have some enjoyment in life. Sometimes sitting in front of these screens all day expecting something to happen can really get you upset. So there's definitely always more to life than you being a trader. Remember that? I used to really piss myself off when I used to have red days. But you are bigger than that. And on days like this, it's a little tough because it's almost like you don't want to take too much, or if anything, you want to go a little lighter. And as a trader, you always want to make money. So a little bit of tougher mindset to have to battle with. Does anybody have anything that they're looking at? I see Chris has got a couple stocks. What do you got, Chris? ENTX. Let's see what's going on there. I saw you brought up BIYA. Is that one still spiking? ENTX is falling. Ooh, Chris, let's go, brother. Oh, now see, this is why we need multiple people looking at this. This is for tomorrow. And this would be a 52-week breakout. So if you don't love anything today, there's always tomorrow's opportunities. He's already trying it. I don't love doing it right before this, because it's got the downward trend, but I see what you're seeing. I mean, tomorrow we'll definitely put our lines in and we'll start trying to line ourselves up for a potential squeeze. But ENTX is one that started the week with the spike. And we'll see if it can bounce its way back. It had news as well, right? It's an oil stock. No, it looks like it had news for oversubscribed private placement financing. What's going on? Maybe earnings news? No. It definitely had news to get it going. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Good find. Typically, I like to put a couple lines here to line up myself for tomorrow's risk levels, and we'll do that for the morning watch list. And those were the plays that I talk about as the huge runners lately, where you had the WLDS that actually spiked today from 350, 320 all the way to 440 quickly. And then you had last week ADVB back to 10 now. Who knows when that first green day is going to come, but it doesn't even have to anymore. The stock's pretty much dying. But just the potential was right there, very similar of what we're going to look for in ENTX tomorrow, a day like that. All right, we've got 20 minutes left here. So big earnings week today. Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure we have Meta. We have Amazon. Let me check again just to make sure who we have for tomorrow's earnings. But I did see we have some big earnings here coming in tomorrow. Here we go. Yeah, we've got Microsoft, Meta, Hood, ARM, and then Thursday we have Apple, Amazon, Coin, Roblox, Reddit. So 2 days of a lot of volatility most likely in the market, and then you got your FOMC as well with our new chairman. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what the volatility brings. I don't love, as a day trader, you're supposed to love volatility, but I don't love FOMC volatility. So we'll see what it brings. IBM's trying to hold this 226 if anybody likes it. You'd use your 224 as cut. All right. Still 15 minutes. Patience always, is tough in times like these, but we're definitely gonna hold back. I think OPK is gonna be the only one. We'll watch Lucid and AMC. Those are also listed stocks, so keep an eye on both of those after hours as well. We'll see if anything comes out of those. My other trader friend just tweeted, "Stare at your screen and punch stare at the screen and punch your screen, or stare at the screen all day and punch your screen type of day." I get them. It becomes frustrating. AMFN is making new lows, so the panic play that we're going to be watching for tomorrow is coming down to new lows. Typically, for an OTC panic, if you're not going to be with us on the sniper community tomorrow, what you're looking for. So if you're on YouTube Live and you're just looking to see how does this guy even make money, watch AMFN. Last time it had a big panic, it fell from 20 or 18 back to 11, and it bounced back to 16. Look where we're at again, 18. Can we make that panic? 10 or 11 is usually bigger spots that I look for. So that's ideally what we're trying to see if there's an opportunity there. The new low a day into the close is definitely what we like. All right, so OPK, we got a total of, we're going to go with 2,200 shares here at 162. That's going to be the total. I'm not going to get more, maybe after hours, but we'll just keep watching it. So if you want to try it with us, the goal is to try to learn from what we're doing. I don't want you to copy exactly what we're doing. It's not trying to be an alert thing, but at the same time, here it is. Like I said, the 2,200 shares. So we'll see if that one can get the any type of move, but I like the smaller risk there. And that's really what I think in this type of information. I truthfully do believe that you should be more importantly basing your plays off your risk levels. So how much do you think you're going to lose? How much are you comfortable with losing? Most people quit trading because they just lose too much. So if you could find a number that you're comfortable with, hopefully you have the funds to put that in. Don't just be one of these degenerates that say you're comfortable with losing anything, because that's not how you're going to be consistent in anything. Colin, what's up, brother? Oh man, Mr. Dudley. Thank you for that. It's nice to have you on here, dude. I hope everything's going great in life. I'm trying to do this every Tuesday, so if you want to come check me out every Tuesday, you come try to learn some stocks with me. I would love that. If you want, I'm doing it no matter what. But yeah, this is gonna be a Tuesday thing. If you do want to, anybody ever wants to check me out, though, I do this every day. Like he just said, he remembers when I first started. All the way back in 2018 was actually the official first start. I'm closing in on 8 years as a community, but actually 10 years as a trader. So pretty cool stuff there. Shout out, man. IBM's holding into the close. If you like 226, All of these plays though that I'm talking about, so if you are watching, definitely not long-term stuff. This is all stuff that I'm looking to just try to make money off of from one day to the next, or one day, maybe 2 days, but really never trying to typically hold these things for multiple days. They might be decent companies sometimes that I'm buying, like IBM is a decent company, but a lot of the times the companies that I do buy are not too interesting, are not too, they're not the best stocks. So I don't think you need to fall in love with them. That's the one thing I would recommend. I've fallen in love with them before, so don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, please. Like Lucid, that's a cool stock. It's got its cars. You would think like, oh, that should be a better stock. But if it goes down tomorrow, you still got to cut it. You don't tell yourself, oh my God, this stock has so many cars on the road. They should be going up. It's not really how this is going to work here. But still a nice breakout. 783 is typically our hold breakout now. So let's see if it holds the breakout into the close. We've got 10 minutes left. The QQQ, SPY are still down. So as much as I'm sitting here spewing out stocks to you guys, I do this every day. I do it every Tuesday. But I still think you got to remember what we're dealing with. Like, don't forget about the overall big picture of things. And that's, we're still dealing with a war, and we're still dealing with a falling market. Chip stocks have really kind of dragged down the QQQ. You have SNDK. I got a pretty decent gap down, almost hitting $1,000 now. There should be a good dip buy coming in this soon, from 1,700 down to almost 1,000. The SanDisk. If you were with me on live, I was talking about it yesterday. But yeah, me and Nick went to Best Buy yesterday and just looking at how much these SanDisks cost now. Unreal. Camera guys are making money because they have so much memory chips. All right, last 10 minutes of the day. This is the last fourth quarter. I think I'm going to stick with one play. Volkswagen is still holding, so if you do like another one, you got your Lucid, you got your Volkswagen. Randomly, 2 EV stocks are on our watch list today. Tesla's been crashing for 3 days. Tomorrow we'll look for a potential bounce on Tesla, but pretty ugly small fall off there the last couple of days. And then AMFN, look at this panic in AMFN. I think tomorrow might really happen. A penny stock that goes from 20 cents to 10 cents in a day. And I don't look for it to bounce back to 20. What I'm looking for is it to bounce back from 10 maybe to 13, 14. Just a quick little move here for potential. OPK is going to battle some more. I usually call these stocks barcode stocks. So usually they don't drop too much, but they don't spike too much. I think earnings was the thing that really got it going. But lately, since it got that spike, it's kind of like a barcode. If you open up OPK, you could kind of see on the daily chart, 1 day, 1 minute chart. All of these represent 1 minute of the day. And that's why it looks kind of like a barcode. But it did make a mini spike, and it is holding the breakout. And those are levels we like. And it does have news. So hopefully that lines up for it. Going a little lighter than we usually like because of the markets that we're dealing with. But I'm not going to not swing at things if it's lining up. No matter what type of market, up, down, or side to side, I've been able to find some consistency the past 8 years, and that's really the goal. I want to just know how to make money when it's going up. Grab the bag, baby. Let's go. Love it, Chase. It's been a minute, dude. I hope everything is great, brother. Hope everything is great. All right, so I got 7 more minutes left. I think OPK is going to be the only one. I will watch Lucid after hours. There's a possibility of that. Volkswagen, I was really thinking about it, but I'm going to stay away from it. But I think I'm going to save some money for tomorrow as well. I do think you should focus on 2 of these opportunities that I talked about earlier this webinar. And it was the 2 morning plays that could potentially tomorrow. They're both on our morning watch list, so let me bring them up again so you can see them. So if you don't like anything today, we've already got a decent morning watch list here, and I usually do the morning watch list every morning before the market starts. It's usually finished around 9:15. But here are the lists that we'll for tomorrow morning, and right at the top are these two potential morning momentum plays, LVWR and ENTX. I got to put AMC on there too. But I actually have a decent list now for tomorrow. And that OP, if we are in anything over it, I'm going to highlight it in green just to let you know that we're still watching that one to finish it out. So as you can see, OPK is highlighted. Yesterday was DraftKings. Let's see what we got. Multi-month. But let me just show you those two stocks one more time, and I'll describe a little bit of what I'm looking for in LVWR and ENTX. Nice, OPK, 165 now. All right, so for ENTX, what we're looking for, and Chris is already going for it today, which you can. It makes it a little more risky, but the risk is already setting itself up. $3 low. So we put our lines in. I'm going to start throwing myself at some levels that I like personally, and we'll see if tomorrow they can start to hold. Usually if they hold these lines and start to eclipse them, they can make a big spike. So these are my three lines. I'm going to put the last one where it closes. And tomorrow will be very interesting for this ENTX. And then the second one is LVWR. What we'd look for, though, if it does curl for ENTX, can it break back above 420 and keep running? From over the weekend, it moved from $2 all the way to $4. That's a huge run. Now it's had its first bad day, but what will it do after that? Shorts are winning, but will shorts actually be able to drag it back down, or is this thing going to turn around? That's what we look for when it comes to ENTX. And then the other one that I said was Livewire, LVWR. I don't know what these stocks are, to tell you the truth. I have no effing clue. Sorry for my language, but I really don't. I mean, Livewire Group, I know what sectors they are and stuff like that, and they do come out with news, and that's what causes this. But this is all emotion based, and I've been seeing these emotions now for 8 years. So it's consistent with seeing this happen. And we've had two huge days. We have the final first pullback, which is exactly what we want. It looks like low day is 180 right now, but we'll see if it keeps holding that. So let's start putting our lines just like we did on the last one. And typically you want to see these hold these lines into the close. If they can hold these lines in the close, you have a huge potential on the squeeze on the upside. And for this one with Livewire, say it goes back to 350, you're almost up 100% from the spot it's at right now. So just think about that. So that's why I like these stocks. You typically can go a little smaller, but you can make a lot more. And that's what we call the morning momentum squeeze plays that I've been playing recently the past couple of years. We've got 3 minutes left. Let's go to the one stock we traded so far. Oh, we got a spike, baby. OPK. We're up. We're up 100 plus now. We've got a little bit of cushion live together. Can we now get a push back to highs? That's typically what we look for. But what was the spot it bounced off of, everybody? Even if you're live, my man Colin Chase, if you're listening, this is called a breakout, and it bounced right off the breakout spot. Technical analysis, that looks very healthy for a stock. So nice move overall. We're going to see if it can hold 167 and 168 and maybe break back to highs into the close. If I wanted to take the $100+ I could, but I'm going to wait and try to see if it can get some more of a push here into tomorrow. The other one that is also still holding, if anybody caught that dip, is IBM. So IBM, nice move there. And if you look at IBM, we're right off of 226. So this is another one, higher price stock, but definitely has some potential to make a move. We've got 2 minutes left. I like to call this the 2-minute warning. OPK is our one play we're in, but both IBM and OPK look pretty decent into this close. Lucid does too, but I just don't have good history with Lucid, so I'm going to stay away from it. These stocks will move into APM because they are listed stocks. The QQQ and the SPY are both going to be actually the SPY closed green, the QQQ closed red. So mixed emotions here, but another summer market day of madness. The QQQ is down 2% at one point. Got a slight bounce. Come on, OPK. Let's battle into the last minutes here. Nice to see it holding around still. Right when I said that. But it's the idea is to hopefully get this to hold and then maybe get that curl after hours. But we did get a good spot, so the risk level is in place, and that's really the most important thing. Usually the day doesn't end or the play doesn't end until tomorrow. So decent close there into the last minute. Let's see what happens. Last 30 seconds, actually. IBM had a pretty nice bounce into the end of the day. I mean, it's only $1, but pretty decent bounce there, I'd say. All right, and there is the bell. So small cushion, not too much. You got like a 2-cent cushion there. We'll see if there's any type of push there into after hours. But that's what we're looking for. It did hold the breakout, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do with it. Good work today. It's always nice to see that even though markets are wishy-washy, we're still looking to find opportunities. So let's keep taking it one day and one trade at a time. I'll be watching this play until 8 p.m. If you were with me today on live, we're here every day on Tuesday, but also every single day in the Stock Sniper room on the simplertrading.com website. All right, y'all. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Nice seeing you here, my man, Mr. Dudley. And have a great week if I don't see you guys. Keep being the best version of you. And I am out. Peace.
Connected to iPhone 8.
All right. And with my team, I think that's how I'm going to end it. I don't know why it's not ended, but